to go live in a few seconds here, which is a minute. So Katie, let me ask you, you're kind of happy. There you go.
Yeah, we're really close.
Awesome. We're just gonna have a few people join in. This is exciting times. What the heck? This drama early in the morning.
Man, you know what? I know we're going to be talking about authentic branding today, but I feel like I have to be authentic. I am just not having a great day. It's just like everything feels against me, which is not usually the case. I'm usually pretty positive.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those days, you know. So everybody, you guys are joining in right now. We're just going to hang out for a bit until everyone is joining in. Look, this morning, this whole technology thing, you never know. So I asked them to come on 15 minutes before, and next thing you know, we're trying to figure out audio crap, all that stuff.
Hey Diane, and we had some tech challenges with the podcast we were supposed to do today, but that didn't work because
I don't know what's been going on with the tech gods today, but it has not been in our favor. And let us know if you can hear us okay, because we're just using the computer mic, which is not that close, because our professional mic is not working. So I don't know what's going on, but we're here. We're happy to be here.
It's it's perfect right now. I can hear you guys pretty well.
Awesome.
Okay,
cool.
Good.
Diane. You can hear us.
So you got like half of Katie's face, half of mine.
Yeah. It's great though. So let me ask you, what's the weather like right now in Florida?
And now we have the blowers out.
The lawn people.
I don't hear it.
It's just been one thing after another.
I think I need to go back to bed.
That's how it normally is, right? Let me check on Facebook real quick to see if our live streaming is on, which is, it sounds like, oh, yep, it's on. It's on. People are jumping on live streaming. Hi, everybody. Jump on right now. This is going to be a lot of fun, you guys. All right, so let me do this. First of all, let's take a deep breath. And exhale. Freaking technology.
It's so good to have therapist friends.
I know, it's crazy. So let me do some quick introduction as people are joining in, and I want you guys to, again, we're going to have a lot of fun here on our discussion, but let me just introduce to you my friends here, the one and only Kate and Katie.
Hi.
Okay, let me just read to you a bit of, so I went on your website, and you guys do a whole shit of a lot of things. You guys are not the typical psychotherapist I'm used to.
No, not so typical. I'm proud of it.
Exactly. So let me just let you guys know. They are the owners or the creators of Private Practice Startup, and they've got a podcast. And I'm on their website. They've got tons of resources. I'm seeing that you guys are you do continuing education courses. Mm-hmm. For supervisors, for so many people, the professionals in Florida. Mm-hmm. So I want you guys to visit their website to know more about them. They are private practice gurus. Anytime I have a question, they're one of my go-tos. And for those of you who attended my workshops in the past, when you see their logo flashed on the screen, this is them. You guys, that's them. When I refer people to have your private practice grow, that's one of them. They're on my list, you guys. So you're seeing them live and in person. And the last thing is, they are one of my speakers for the Not the Typical Conference.
We're so hyped, and we're so honored. We're so excited to just bring total amazingness and awesomeness and fun.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So let my community know about you, who you are. Introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us on. We're so excited to be here. And hopefully the lawn people out back aren't too distracting, because it's just never a dull moment. And when you have an online business, you can online biz from anywhere. We're at my house today.
Absolutely.
And
actually, it reminds me of when we tried to do the podcast initially with Ernesto. He was trying to do it from Panera, and there was like crying babies and silverware. And here we were talking about the importance of audio, and we're like, we're just gonna have to review this.
Yeah, we gotta stop this one.
No, first was the hurricane, and then it was rescheduled the second time, and then the third time, I think you did it in your garage, and then it worked.
Exactly. See, technically, you and I, we're both in this thing together, right?
Yeah, totally. So we're co-founders of the Private Practice Startup, and we're a South Florida-based company. We started off with providing a lot of trainings and private practice coaching and things like that more locally. And then we've expanded global with our podcast, with our attorney approved private practice paperwork that we offer. And then also with our private practice marketing e-course, which is launching hopefully end of January. That's what we're aiming for. It's been like a labor of love, and we had no idea how much would go into it.
We've been pregnant with it for 5 months. Well, also, we've been, actually no, 6 months, because we've been working very diligently on it since June.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So all sorts of good stuff going on. We're most passionate about branding and marketing, and those are the areas that we have heard clinicians really struggle the most with. Yeah. So we found a way to kind of niche down into those areas where it marries both the need with our passion. And that's why we love what we do. So we're excited to be here talking all about brand like a boss, how to boost your business.
Absolutely. So it goes into our conversation. So I want you guys to be taking notes here. Again, there will be my speakers for 2019 in May, but we want to give you a glimpse of what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to give you a lot of content on branding. Branding is such a hot topic these days because it's such a needed avenue in your marketing. And when you are understanding your brand more, when you are moving into your brand, it becomes easier to do things on social media and attract the clients that you absolutely love. I always say to people, if you're everything to everyone, you're actually nothing.
Yes. That's similar to one of our quotes. Actually, we recorded a portion of our e-course yesterday. I think it's like a Mandy Hale quote or something like that. So you're right on. Actually, we recorded branding yesterday, so perfect.
Yes, branding and ideal clients. We focused all on that yesterday, so we're right in the zone.
So let me ask the both of you, and let's have a discussion on this. Why is it so important for someone to really hone in on their brand?
Branding is really an experience. It's a perception, right? It's how other people perceive you and your company and the work that you do. So you want to ensure that you're creating the kind of experience that you want people to have when they come in contact with you. Branding is not just a logo, a business card, and a name. It's so much more than that. It's about really creating an experience where people can connect with you on an emotional level, and where you can, through your brand and through your personality, being able to create this authentic brand, you can connect with people on such a deeper level. And branding is really like, it's what other people say about you when you're not in the room, when you're not around, when people are talking. If one friend is sharing with another friend about a company, they're talking about the brand. So it's really important to think about all the different points of contact when you come in contact with people, and ensuring that you're creating an experience where you take people along in this journey. And that's really what represents branding.
And one of the things that I think of as you share that is the research shows time and time again is that we as consumers, we do not base our buying decisions on logic. We base them on emotion. And branding is so important is because you need to stick out in a very saturated market. Many of us, I'm sure on this, on this webinar, might be in a saturated market. I know California is, I know South Florida is. And if you don't stick out, if you don't shine, then you're just, one of everyone else. And it so reminds me of like even going to networking events. Like how many real estate agents have you met? How many CPAs? How many therapists? How many attorneys? And you're not memorable. You don't stand out. It means nothing. You're just another one of them. And so branding is so essential to allow people, like Kate says, is you can have an experience. So one of the things that we love to teach people is as we go through the branding process is really creating your vision statement. And like when you're doing networking, share your vision statement instead of saying, hey, I'm a therapist. Because you'll get people curious and intrigued with what you do, and you want to know more. And then you become this perfect ideal person that sticks out in your mind as an expert in this area. So branding it's so much, it is an experience, and it's really across the continuum. It's not just like Kate said, a logo or your office, but it's every touch point that a client has.
Yeah, it's really tapping into the essence of who you are and infusing your passions, your strengths, your personality, and it really creates this space for this creative freedom where you can really be yourself and connect with people in that authentic way.
I think that's one of the most important things. And I know when you were here, we had you come on with us and talk about branding. And the authenticity part is so important, and especially as service professionals, we have to undo what we've learned to really be okay with living authentically into a brand that is both an infusion of our personality in our personal life and our professional life. Yeah. And that's personally how I see branding, right? It's infusing your personal stuff and your professional stuff, and delivering a really amazing experience.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Ernesto, so interrupt us.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. And one of the things, and we're going to give you guys some details on how to get that. So there's a few things that the both of you mentioned, which is experience of the how people experience you on all sphere of social media, or even your branding, or even your website. Now, what I'm hearing from the both of you is a human part of branding. Many folks, even in the world of mental health, are deathly afraid of branding themselves as a human being. Instead, they brand the logo, they brand the service even, but they stay away from the human aspect of branding themselves and their company, even if you have a group practice, right? Talk a little bit more about the element of the human branding, or the human brand, that is more powerful than just anything else.
People want to connect on a human level. People don't want to just, connect with this lifeless company, that doesn't have a soul. Branding is about how to really take your strengths and your personality and everything that makes you unique and bring that you bring to the table. Each one of you as therapists is so different from everyone else, because you all have a different personality, you have different values, you have different strengths, and it's being able to really tune in on those and get clear on what those are and how you deliver services, how you connect with people. When think about it, if you're going and you're looking for a service provider, or even if you're going through a difficult time and you were looking for a therapist, you would want to find someone that you feel comfortable with, that you connect to, that you feel understood by, and you can get a sense of what it would be like to sit across from them in the same room and work with them. And whether you're doing online therapy or seeing them face-to-face in person, you want to be able to feel them and so imagine what it would be like to work with them. So branding is really being able to encompass all of those aspects. And when you're clear on your brand and you're clear on all of those things, and you're able to convey that in a way that's natural, it draws people in. It attracts the people that you were called to serve and that you were really meant to serve, and it deters the rest, because you don't want to work with people who aren't going to be a good fit for you, and you're not a good fit for them. You really want to be authentic and express your personality in a human, genuine way, so that it really draws the people in that you are most called to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And here's another thing about, and what reminds me is, a lot of us don't give us permission to be rejected by people. Our brands do two things, right? And I think let's have a discussion about this. Our brand does two things. One, it attracts the right people towards us. Two, it repels other people who really we were not meant to work with in the very beginning. So speak more to that.
So yeah, I love that you say that. And still, I feel like that's something that I still work on, right? Like I'm not a people pleaser, which is interesting, but I don't want to offend people, right? And I want to be nice. Like, I love Laura Long, and I love her Badass Therapy practice and her brand, and it's just outstanding. And I get jealous about it. It's like, oh, she just doesn't give a shit, right? But it is important, because the people that, if those people are seeping in, we've had situations, I mean, they're exhausting, they're overwhelming, they're emotional, it drains our energy. And eventually we have technically in our actual email list, but it's our code word, is we blacklist them. We don't want them to be a part of what we're doing, because they're not our people. And that's okay, because the same is true in therapy. If you just can't stand working with depressed clients, cool. There's nothing wrong about that. And there's nothing wrong about you. That's just not your jam. And that's okay, because there's someone else who loves working with depressed clients. I can't work with young children. I just can't. Like, I would probably dread every hour, every minute, and that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me. Right. And when we're doing our best work with the people that we love, it's this beautiful, reciprocal, energizing process. I look at my schedule a lot of times. Like, I have today, I'm just having one of those days today, guys. I just am. Let me just be real authentic. And actually, right before we got on, this might be too TMI. I went to the bathroom because I knew we were going to be on for an hour. And I was thinking to myself, because I'm a little exhausted today, stuff is going on. And I was like, I am so glad my 5 o'clock client is my 5 o'clock client. She is funny. I love her. It's going to be a great time. So like, she's in my brand. She's my people. And we're going to have a great session. And I'm going to be energized by that. And that's really what a brand does.
And then when you're working with the clients that you feel you're really called to work with, and you do your best work, and you leave and you feel like you're energetically in alignment with them, it's just like they leave session feeling great, you leave session feeling like, oh man, that was amazing. It's this inspiring process, keeps our passion alive, and it also allows us to do our best work. We're able to make a greater impact. And for most of us clinicians, that's why we got into this line of work in the first place, right? To really make an impact and make a difference. And when we do that and we really serve the clients that we're meant to serve and impact their lives in this positive way, we create a community of raving fans. And they go out and they share, oh man, my therapist is so awesome. I saw her, I saw him, and we had such a great session, and I'm just like so grateful I found them, right? So they go out and they help to spread the word. They become this word of mouth, free marketing, which is priceless, and it also helps to reduce the stigma of therapy, right? People have this amazing experience, and it just blows that stigma out of the water. A lot of times, unfortunately, that stigma is still there. People have to be in a crisis or crazy to reach out for help, and they go and they're like, oh, this is actually amazing. Like, why did I wait so long to go see a therapist? And then they go out and spread the word. It's just, that's all about branding. It's all about the experience that you create for people, from when they go on your website and they're looking at your colors, to when they reach out, they send you an email, the autoresponder that comes back and how your assistant responds, or how you respond, or if they call you on the phone and the experience that you give them on the phone and how that's on brand. And then next thing you know, they're making an appointment with you, and they're in your office, and they're walking in your office, or meeting with you online, or whatever the modality is. And it's across all of those touch points that you create this experience for them.
Yeah. Awesome. You guys, I want you guys to keep your comments coming in. We're going to try to answer them as much as possible. So rule number 1, when you are developing your own personal brand that's going to attract the clients that you love, is 1, be yourself. And if you don't know who you are, you better do some discovery, get a counselor, hire a coach. Like these ladies here, they will help discover the internal parts of you that you need to move into. Maybe even discover some of the ones that you don't like and work through them, right? So once you get that going, be yourself, be who you are, move into the parts of yourselves that you know that is just going to make waves. And here's the other thing. That's another webinar. But sometimes we're just so afraid to be effing badass,
Hashtag more along.
Exactly. So rule number 1, to really know yourself, do some self-discovery, journal, have some feedback. There's a Johari window that I'll be teaching. We'll do that next time. So, and the next piece that I want to ask you guys is, I think you guys mentioned this, is that you want to make sure you know your audience, right? I want to know more about the elements. As I'm studying some of the things that you guys do in branding, you talk about language, you talk about visuals, you talk about using phrases, things that really connect with your ideal clients and the clients that you love. Speak more to that about language.
So I love the saying that Kate actually shares with her interns, especially when they're pretty green and new. She tells them, your clients will teach you everything that you need to know. Is it about therapy? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And even when we talk about branding and marketing, it's like mind blowing, because the process becomes so simplistic. Simple, not easy, right? So our clients will teach us everything they need to know on how to market to them.
Yes, it's a co-constructed process.
It is. And when we ask and when we actively listen and we begin to hear themes and patterns, which we already do as therapists, and guys, Kate and I have chills right now, because Kate and I are so passionate that you guys make some of the best marketers. It's like you just don't even know like your skills and your amazingness that translate into marketing. And that's why we're so passionate about this, is because you already got it in the bag. you listen, you empathize, you validate, you do use client language, right? In use of metaphor or analogy. And so when we're really listening to our clients and understanding their pain, their passions, their desires, their needs, then it becomes easy to utilize that back and just speak back to them. We walk clients through their pain and into a place of desire, their goals. We do that already. We just need to tune in and pay attention to them. And that becomes really important and part of our branding.
Awesome. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love that idea, because when you start listening to the people in front of you and you're also noticing how excited you are inside and you're connecting with them, that's an indication that if you hone in on that, that could be something that is your brand, right? If it elicits such excitement and such passion and such meaningful experience for you, that could be an indicator of that brand.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really, it's attending to all of those things that you talked about. And it's also thinking about your ideal clients, the populations that you work with, and what it is that would help them to feel comfortable, right? What it is that would help them to feel safe, to feel relaxed, calm, whatever it is that they're going to be seeking in the experience they want to have in therapy. Maybe you're working with highly anxious clients, and certainly when you bring them into your office, you wouldn't want to have like a really cluttered office, that would increase anxiety. You would want to use colors and design, and at every point of experience, you want to ease the anxiety. You want to make it streamlined and systemized, and you want to make it as comfortable and easy as possible for people to get into therapy, to see you, to leave feeling better. So really thinking about what are your ideal clients needing and wanting and desiring, and then how can you create this experience through your brand that really encapsulates that really encompasses that. That's a part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. To hone in on your point, if you look right behind me, our offices at both of our locations. So for those of you who don't know, I own a group practice as well too. And in our group practices, and at least my philosophy in my group practice is families. And so you will be greeted with in our waiting room and in our offices with couches, and it looks like a living room. So part of the brand of Cat Family Therapy is to elicit this idea that we not only do one-on-one, but we invite families in our room. So any of our branding has that living room style feel. And it also comes from my culture, from the Hawaiian Filipino culture, where you come in and we feed you and we're sitting in the living room. Seldom, we don't really sit around the kitchen table. It's a living room.
So in Ernesto, I gotta say this, and obviously the people on here know and love you, and we love you, and we just think you're a badass brander as well. And
yeah, totally.
And isn't your own branding what you put personally? I mean, I texted you recently, and I said, Ernesto, you need to write a book on, like, what did I call it? I don't know, like the trials and tribulations of your dad. I'm like, people would love that. So not only is that your own therapeutic brand, but you always let us in on the stories about your dad, from Vegas to climbing a ladder at 80. And that's just who you are. And that's exactly when we talk about our personal and professional and infuse that, because that is such a core value for you. And then you're going to attract those people who are attracted to that. So beautiful, beautiful point you made.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say that's an area that a lot of times clinicians really struggle with, because in school we're all taught to have these very strict, rigid boundaries and to act professional and the ethics and all of that. So we're all like hyper vigilant about stepping outside of that box and really starting to share stories and share things about our humanness and our struggles and how we overcame them. And it's just a really difficult thing that people struggle with. And I know I have in my own journey of struggling with perfectionism and feeling like, oh, when I first get on video, I had to be like so perfect with everything. And that perfectionism and anxiety was something that really got in the way and made me present myself in this way that was totally inauthentic. And my personality didn't come out. And it took a long time and a lot of work for me to overcome that in my own journey. And so when you think about like your brand and your personality and really wanting that to shine, wanting to attract the people that you're really meant to serve, it's important to think about what modalities are going to be your strengths of being able to get the message out there,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So rule number 2 then is basically understanding that it's okay to merge both worlds together, because here's the thing that we have to, I'm going to say this out loud, and I know that the both of you have talked about it in the past, that unfortunately legal and ethics are the courses that we take. In that context, scare the humanness out of us.
Yeah, they do, and we teach them too.
Yeah, and we, like I said, it's so important to reflect our clients and also reflect what's inside of us. So family values is huge for me, and I try to reflect that in my own environment as well. I also, and I know for a lot of clinicians, it's very difficult to do that, right? And having my dad be out there, and my relationship with him, it shows that I'm human, but at the same time, I'm lifting him up, because at this age, he's fighting for autonomy, right?
Yeah.
And right, a lot of autonomy. And you have this therapist who's so seemingly trained in this area trying to take that away from him. And so you see my process throughout the whole time, my frustration, and you nailed it, Katie, because that's exactly what my goal is, to make it okay to be human. You have no idea how many people are attracted to that type of human, and and I get clients, talking about their own family members, and I'm like, yeah, my family, my dad is the same way, and we connect on that level. And somebody who's new hearing that, going, whoa, you just disclosed an information that's, don't do that.
Right. You have to be really comfortable with that. And as a couples specialist, I will disclose, obviously not about my arguments and stuff like that, but I disclose to my clients, because if we sit back and think about the perspective our clients have of us, it is usually an expert. A lot of clients actually think therapists are like superhuman and don't have problems, which makes things very disconnected. And then they also feel like if we come as an authoritative figure or whatever, or we give them a directive or advice, that they should follow. And God forbid if they don't, then they're shamed and guilted. And so many times I tell my clients, just to like reduce that, I'll be like, yeah, I said, you know what, me and my spouse got into conflict last week. I said, but the interesting thing is because I am human, my spouse is human, we're all human, is emotionally react. But the cool thing is I've learned all these tools to decrease the amount of time of the conflict. I know how to repair. I know how to come back to the conversation. And that in of itself, when we show I've been there, but I'm here, gives them hope that they can do the same. And that's what great leaders do. And anyone who's really in the public eye is they can connect with the struggle. And I love Russell Brunson calls it the epiphany bridge, right? Yeah, I'm here in the dumps and in the mud hole, but look, I was able to climb over the bridge and here I am now. And so how valuable is that? And I think you're right. And so you have to be comfortable with being authentically you. And I love that you talk about laws and rules. And I say, if you sit through those courses and as a therapist, you have a queasy stomach and a queasy feeling in your stomach, and you're like, oh my God, am I doing everything right? Then you're an awesome therapist, because you're worried. You're worried and you're checking yourself. But if you don't have any queasiness in your stomach, maybe you've just been in practice a long time, or you don't care, which then would make me concerned. So
yes, very, very good point. A level of anxiety when you're branding is good. When you post things on social media, or you post things and you don't have the maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And if you don't have that, you should worry, because that's lacking boundaries. I absolutely love that. So here's the thing: using language and reflecting your identity with your office, because you're doing two things. You're merging everything about you as a human brand. You're taking in your professional identity as well with your environment, your professional environment. And the more you understand that, the more it's easier for you to reach out for the brand. Now, let me ask you this. The next thing that I do want to look at, what is your advice for people to want to discover their actual brand? What are some of the tangible things you'd want to give them in discovering their professional and personal brand merging together? What'd you say with that?
One of the exercises we like to walk people through is actually inspired by the Johari window. It's not the 4 questions. It's the one question. It's what is the one word that the people in your life would use to describe you? And it's really asking the people in your personal life, your professional life, your colleagues, blasting it out on social media, really getting clear on what is that one word that people would use to describe you. And then when you get that feedback, starting to look at the patterns. When you see the words that are repeated more than once, being able to say, okay, people really see me as a creative person. That's interesting. Is that one of my core values? And is that how I want to portray myself? Do I need to shift in how I am, aligning with people and putting myself out there? Or do I really want to embrace this? And this is part of my brand, and this is part of my values, and it's part of my personality. It's a really good exercise to help bring a little bit of clarity there. And it's just kind of like a good check to see, are you putting yourself out there in the world the way that you want people to perceive you?
Awesome. So in one word, so keep an eye, a contact or an ear out for that one word, that few words that people say about you, and maybe explore that a little bit and blow that up, or just see if that's going to be in line with your values and your brand.
Yeah. So that's one exercise that we find to be really helpful. And the other is to be able to get really clear on your brand values. And we'd love to be able to give you guys the brand values assessment for anyone who's wanting to go through that assessment process of really getting clear on your top 7 core brand values, and then breaking it down, whittling it down. You really need to sit with this stuff, grapple with it. Don't just do it all, in 1 second. Really sit with it, come back to it, really get that clarity, and think about it also within your personal life and your professional life, as well as infusing the both of those together and whittling down to your top 3 core values. Ours for the private practice startup are collaboration, passion, and quality. So
So that was
all decisions we come back to that point of ensuring that you're in line with that.
I absolutely love that. I'm going to ask you real quick. I'm just going to make a quick comment. I want to validate that. For those of you who are listening, again, just a quick plug. These beautiful ladies in front of me are going to be my speakers for May here in Anaheim.
Yay!
And it's directly the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist Conference. Yes, and it's directly across Disneyland. So if you guys get bored, you guys can just walk across the street to Disneyland, right?
I just read that in a book today. I didn't realize Disneyland was in Anaheim. And my real That's how I realized that.
Oh my God. So I love the idea of value branding, because I never really thought about that until somebody mentioned that to me last week, where we forget our values, and it's also part of our brand. So I'm sorry, I interrupt you.
Well, one of the things I was going to say is I'm seeing some of the comments. I just wanted to say, hi, Brittany. Thanks for joining us. Diane, awesome. And Stacy said, what were the 3 whittled down to? So the 3, Stacy, are your 3 brand values. So we have an assessment that we help you do. Another thing that's really cool about branding that people don't realize, and Kate was alluding to it, is branding also helps you make decisions about your business.
Yes.
Who to hire, what to do, what not to do, who to collaborate with, what not. It actually becomes easy because, like, for us, it's like we refer back, and we're like, and many a times, obviously behind the scenes, like someone will email us and say, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast, for example. And we go researching them, and we find the website's really crappy. The audio on the video is not good. There's no structure. Our value is quality, and that does not fit in our brand values. And so, unfortunately, you actually might be great, but at first show, what you're sending us is not aligned with our brand. And that's important. That's important to decide who you're going to bring onto your team. Maybe you want to grow a group practice. And maybe it's family, fun, and professionalism. I don't know.
I think integrity.
What's that?
I think of the word integrity, keeping the integrity of your brand.
Yes.
Oh, it is absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
You're
but
right
yeah.
on.
So if you even have someone that you potentially hire for your group practice and your family, fun, and professionalism, and they come in late, they're dressed sloppy, they don't have a pen to fill out the application, they don't even call you. To me, I'm like, all right, bye. Like, don't even come, because you're just not part of our brand, and then it's going to create difficulty. I know that Kate, we get into whole like vision, mission, and culture, and a lot of people don't talk about culture. They talk about it like overall in theory, but we get into creating culture statements. But Kate actually, to hire in her group practice, is she reviews and has them review the culture statements, and they talk about it. And if they're not a fit, they're not a fit, and that's okay.
A lot of people contact me so often saying, hey, I came across your baby therapy group practice website, and I love your company culture, and it just so speaks to me, and I'm dying to be a part of your team. I get people reaching out so often with that, and then I use it as part of the interview process, making sure that I'm bringing on people who are a fit for us and we're a fit for them, because there's nothing worse than having someone in your company who is, yeah. And I've experienced that earlier on, like a decade ago when I first started, making some choices and not being super clear on the brand and the company culture and all of that. So I've learned from a lot of those mistakes, which is, an ongoing thing for us. We've made a ton of mistakes earlier on, and that's why we're so inspired of being able to help you guys to really get clear on this branding and marketing stuff, so you don't have to learn the hard way too.
I just love the way that you guys place that. I'm okay. Your book. Where's your book? Where's your book? You guys need to write a book. Anyway, the idea of value branding is so vital. I know for me, I tried to be everything for everyone, right? And I lost myself. And
been
the idea,
that. Yep.
That
been there, done that. I want to make a comment about that when you're done.
Right. So, and the fact that you guys are honing in as the value piece as part of your brand, because now it sounds very empowering, right? You can tell people no. You can put boundaries and go, I'm sorry, you're not for me, and it's okay for me to say that and give ourselves permission to say that. But you can't really do that unless you know your actual value brand.
Yeah, and it makes it easy. You hear people say that's on brand or that's not on brand. It makes it easy because it's almost like it's a personification. It's like the thing over there. The brand is telling us that no, you're not a part of what I'm doing. It's not me. It's not me. But it's
wow.
For those of us who don't like to make people feel bad, but it just makes decisions easy because you don't have to think about it. There's times like you're like, wow, this looks really good, or look, the money behind it sounds awesome, or whatever. But if you're like, but it doesn't really fit in our brand, it's not going to be a good fit. And I'm a true believer is when you're making decisions that are in alignment, the universe needs you back, right? And so, but if you're either chasing after things or shiny objects or money or whatever it is, then it just gets very distracting.
It just frees up all decisions for your business, with who you work with, who you partner with, like the sponsors that reach out to us will only partner with sponsors that are really in alignment with your business and share those core values. It frees everything up so much with the assistants or virtual assistants that you bring on, or other types
or a marketing company you might hire to do AdWords or all of that stuff.
Yeah. That is, what? My mind is blown. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think you guys put in such a tangible angle that it's really resonating with my mind. Because, if you don't know this value piece and you're chaotic, you will invite more chaos into your world, right? You will invite that. It just opens that one little tiny door to go, you know what? I don't know who I am. I'm just going to brand myself as everyone's person. And it creates a lot of chaos, and you invite that chaos. Holy crap. I think I'm processing.
You're having a light bulb moment.
We're having an epiphany.
I'm processing my own stuff on social media in live time, you guys. You're seeing a different side of me here.
Well, Ernesto, it's so interesting you said that because for an hour and a half last night, my spouse and I were having this whole discussion about this. My spouse is also a business owner and entrepreneur, and a lot of times she's very all over the place. And we talked about that. And, if you're just chasing the money or this, then you're living life in chaos. But when you're really clear on what your brand is and what it is that you're doing and the system you're following, it makes it streamlined. And it's just so important.
This stuff also relates to the ideal clients too, right? Because if you're not clear on your values and your brand, you're just going to be all over the place. If you're not clear on your ideal clients and your niche, then you're going to be all over the place working with, as a generalist, trying to help everybody and not really honed in on your passion and not doing your best work either because you're not called to serve everybody on the planet. Nobody is. Wow.
Wow.
So, this just happens. This informs so many different aspects of private practice.
Yeah, I just can't wait for you guys to go in detail at the conference with this because this is just huge. I want to make a comment. Stacy, you asked a question about is there a particular value assessment that you recommend, or is that a feature on your consultation? I'm going to give you guys a link for all of that so you guys can go ahead and contact them and have consultation on that, because that is incredibly valuable. Let's go back a little bit about you found it on the website.
Yep,
okay.
You found it on our website. Yes, we'll definitely give you guys the link though.
Exactly. So is there any other for someone who's trying to discover their brand and try to communicate it, is there any other suggestions you might want to give them?
One thing I want to say is, so interestingly enough, this weekend I was actually cleaning out my filing cabinet, which actually brings me a lot of peace, right? I'm like one of those that likes to clean and organize. And interestingly enough, I came across a folder. I actually went through an entire branding process many years ago for my private practice. And it was a $3,000 process. And I actually I did. I took a year to create the website, which, well, I didn't create the website, but the content and everything. But then I never launched my brand. And the reason being is because the office that I rent from is totally not on brand with what I was creating. So consistency is so important. Simon Sinek talks about this. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he said, people, when we as humans go to buy something, right, a lot of times we might say, this doesn't feel right, or I'm not so sure, there's something missing. And that's really like our intuition and our emotion. So the same thing that happens with brand. And interestingly enough, I just became aware of this. So I was driving down the street one day and I saw like one of those signs that a new store was coming, and it was a pet supermarket. I looked at the sign and I go, that's weird. It says pet supermarket. I don't even know if that's the right logo. Maybe it's a different pet supermarket. Maybe I'm not really sure. But I think recently, because I saw a flyer, I think Pet Supermarket updated their logo. But it was that momentarily thing that my mind said, this is not right. This is not right. And it's an imposter pet supermarket. I'm not shopping there. So consistency is beyond important. So even if you hire someone to your practice and maybe your assistant is, has an aggressive tone, like that person's not on brand. And it's so important. Yeah. So from, like you said, from the waiting room, your waiting room matches what they're going to experience in the therapy. So like Kate said before, it's your logo, it's your design, it's your website, it's your calls to action, it's how you answer the phone, it's your process, it's your follow-up process. All of that really needs to be on brand, and it needs to be consistent.
Yeah. Let me there's a question here that is incredibly vital and important, I think. Laura, thank you so much for this question. I'd love to hear any thoughts on branding in a small town where clients are likely to be in school with their kids. You'll see them at grocery stores, etc. Branding and boundaries, perhaps. I want to speak to this because I grew up on Kauai, which is an incredibly small island. At least here in the mainland, you guys can go to another state, drive somewhere to Vegas or something, and lose people, right?
Of course, Vegas. Another state like Vegas. That was funny.
That was my bread.
That's Nevada, by the way. I'm going there tomorrow and you're coming here.
So the next thing I was going to ask, actually, Laura, and it goes alongside, is connection, is connecting. Your brand needs to connect to other human beings. The best way you can do this is, and to force yourself to connect, is if you do live in a small town, if you do live on an island where you need to take a plane somewhere to get away from people, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, your brand is a connection factor. So let's say you live in a town where you know that your kids will be at that place. Well, then carry that beautiful brand that you have, even when you walk into the school, when they come to you. I'm talking from an ethnic and cultural perspective, where my culture, some of my people that I've helped, for instance, in the Hawaiian culture, the Filipino culture, we actually merge professional and professional branding. People in the mainland don't understand the type of island life, but there are doctors, there are lawyers who see themselves, or other therapists who see themselves on the island. They see themselves at school and they give themselves each other's hugs and say, how are you doing? But we don't go far. We understand that. So and I want you guys to speak to this as well. From living in a branding in a small town, it actually gives you guys an advantage where they know you professionally. They see that you love your kids. They see that you're part of your kids' world, or they see you, all those things. Now, the other piece of this is you got to make sure you keep up that identity, right? And even that, if you fall, during that time, hopefully your brand is strong enough to carry the integrity of your character. Thoughts on this?
Well said. Was that helpful, Laura? Did that answer your question? And
the holiday hangout hat.
For those of you who are watching on live streaming on Facebook,
I love that you guys know this.
The comment is, my toddler likes her hat.
Oh, that's so funny.
So this month we're doing holiday hangouts, and we're doing it with Ernesto and you guys today. But next week on Wednesday and the following week, I will have something different on. So last week was a Christmas tree, but I have 4 holiday hangout hats. So join us and see what I'm wearing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So again, connecting, you guys. Connecting is a big deal. Any thoughts on the idea of connecting your brand with another human being?
I mean, I think you said it well, and I guess my thought for you, Laura, and I don't know if you're in practice currently or you're launching into practice, but my thought is I love the way that you're grappling with that, and you probably already have good boundaries anyway. And so branding and boundaries with our profession, they don't need to be different. And ultimately, when we talk about authenticity, you have to do something that you feel comfortable with, right? And so if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's not part of your brand. And so maybe there is more of a professionalism, and that's okay. But your brand might be fun. Maybe you're an art type person, and that's what people would expect. And also, too, like going along with the theme, right? Like we coached a woman that works with adolescent girls and women suffering from sexual trauma through art therapy. Right, so the expectation might be that she always has cool clothes or has like an art decorated pin or whatever, and so you are your brand. I remember there's a home designer that used to be in one of my networking groups, and she always looked like a designer. That's just who she is. So branding again is not just like in one space. It's what we exude, what we show.
And it's not black and white. It's a really gray area, and it's an area that you can certainly step out into your outside of your comfort zone and share some things, share some stories with the intent of helping other people. Like that question that we ask ourselves, that ethical question: who is this for? Who is this serving? Is this for me? Is it for my clients? Who is this going to help? It really kind of clarifies things. And if we're going through a difficult time as therapists, we're human. It happens. We might not share the mess while we're in the middle of the mess. Once we get our own help and get to the other side of it, that mess can turn into a message. And it's another way for us to reach people and help people. And we can share that story as a way to, what we're comfortable with. We might not share all of the details. If there's children involved, we might not share all the details, especially if they have kids in school or parents that would see them and that could impact how other people perceive you or your family. Like, of course, there's that protective mode, and you want to keep boundaries around some things. Branding and boundaries, they're both and they go together, and each of you is going to need to figure out where those boundaries are and what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And some of that is just trial and error, and really just having that self-awareness and being able to look at all facets of the personal and professional side and how they intertwine.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are one question in the question section, and again, we're not going to get through all of this, but this is just amazing. We're going to do another webinar just answering your questions. But for somebody who's starting off, we talk a lot about websites. Okay, wait, this is a real difficult question. Let me just read it to you. What are some good thoughts on branding when working to build your client's base in private practice? That's a very general question. But the next question is, she's utilizing social media and website, but do you recommend both organic and standard marketing to show your brand or your business? Your thoughts on that?
So one of the things
that's a big question.
Yeah. So let's say this, and this is where Kate and I, we're strong believers in this, and this is why we created a marketing e-course.
I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say. So what we found is that many therapists, or even any type of solopreneur, when they're new to business, what they do is they go into the panic of, I need to get clients, and they jump to strategy. I need to learn SEO. Should I use LinkedIn? Should I use Facebook? I'll run a Facebook ad. Well, maybe I'll do some AdWords. Well, I got a blog. Everyone says you have to blog. Oh no, it's social media. Let me go back to social media.
Hashtag SOS. We call it SOS. Shiny object syndrome. You chase all the shiny objects.
And it's exhausting.
Yes.
Because we've done that and been there. Totally get it. So building the foundation of your marketing, your branding, understanding your ideal client, your marketing messages, those are essential before you do anything else.
Yes.
Don't do anything else. And people skip this all the time. We did it too, right? Because we weren't educated. And that's why we're crazy passionate about what we talk about and what we teach, is because once you know this, and one thing that we actually talk about that others don't a lot of times is we also talk about your natural talents. If you hate writing, I am not going to go tell you to blog. I don't believe in that. I love what Ernesto says about he does video. That's his thing. He loves it. Now, I would recommend to try certain things out to see if you like it or don't. I remember when I started doing video, I loved it because I like to be a ham. Anyway, and it just works for me. And then we teach you other ways to multiply content and things like that. But there are certain things that, yes, that can work with your business. Yes, like working on your SEO, a high converting website is non-negotiable because that's your online resume. As well as, if you want to do AdWords and things like that. But what we really suggest is looking at your natural talents, finding a coach, a mentor, or a system that has results in that, and work with them. Pay to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting your time and efforts.
If you don't have that brand developed, and if you don't have that solid foundation with your brand, a clear message that speaks to your ideal clients,
doesn't matter.
You could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in AdWords and it's not going to be working for you. So it's so important to have those pieces clarified and worked on first before you throw any money into the marketing strategies.
Oh my gosh, that's
so
energy, and I resonate with it because you're absolutely right. People ask me, Ernesto, why aren't you on often on Twitter? Why aren't you on this Tumblr? Why aren't you on whatever other social media? I spend a lot of time on Facebook because I've perfected Facebook, and that's where I'm at. And they would ask me, why don't you do email marketing? That wasn't me in the beginning. Now I'm moving into it because I know that now. So you move into that YouTube videos, things like that. Before, I used to tell people, you have to do video, you have to do videos. And I'm like, no, they don't. They don't. If it's not you, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do have to say though, video actually is about 60% converting. So just saying,
convert 60% higher.
60% more people when you do video because they get the real you, like you guys spending time with us on the webinar. You can decide if you like us or not.
That is if you're authentic on video. If you're inauthentic and you're robotic and your personality like sucks, then you're going to deter a bunch of people. Yeah, and I can say that because I've been there. When I first started doing videos several years ago.
Let me just let everybody know, for those of you on Crowdcast and on Facebook, I want to let you know that if you registered for this webinar, you will have the free copy of this video. Okay, I'm going to email it to everyone. It will be for you to study, to look at, because there's much more. I will also send you a list of some of the things that, or the website where you can connect with both of these ladies. I hope you guys don't mind if I say that, because it's like, your private practice startup sounds kind of, you know what I mean? It's like, you guys are human in front of me.
Kate and Katie.
Yep. It's all good too. Whatever.
That's awesome. So for those of you who haven't registered yet, I just want to plug here. For those of you who haven't registered yet, the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist conference is in May, and the early bird registration actually ends January 1st. So sign up, pay your dues. We will send you the discount code to the Red Lion Inn across of Disneyland. And for those of you guys that have been to Disneyland, it's fun and chaotic.
I just have to say, like, it's funny, like Kate and I talk about this stuff. We talk a lot about it with each other and stuff like that. But to be on this with you, like, I realize, and I'm sure you guys are realizing how passionate we are about this. Like, we joke around and say we're geeks for marketing. We really are. And, we want to help you. Like, we want to serve you. We want to help you. We want to help you avoid the crazy obstacles we had to go through. And the cool thing about what we talk about and what we teach, maybe you don't want to be a therapist in 10 years. I don't know. Maybe you want to be in business. It's the same stuff. The stuff that we're teaching you is just duplicatable over all business systems. And it's just so valuable. And hopefully you realize we make it fun.
Absolutely. I'm all about the building the personal brand first and your professional brand, because when you come out with something like a podcast or something or a book or something, people won't flinch, right? They'll be like, oh, okay, we follow him. He's doing something new, or we follow them doing something new. And actually the branding and the marketing becomes incredibly smooth in its transition.
And Kate talks about this all the time, is a lot of times therapists don't like to hard sell their services, right? Mm-hmm. And when you brand and people are attracted to your brand, like I know you put a post, I think this week, Ernesto, about someone was saying like, I think it was something you had to do this type of marketing, but you're like, but why? Because there's 150 people registered, right, for the Hawaii conference. So, when you have a clear brand and people are so attracted to that, you don't have to hard sell. You don't. It does suck to hard sell. Like,
No.
but you probably really want to work with me doing
awesome, right? In the very beginning of me marketing the Kauai retreat, I saw the uptake of people registering, and Kauai is not cheap. And most of the people that are coming are from the East Coast, and it's crazy. Right, East Coast. It's crazy, right? It's crazy to think that. But I got to thinking that a lot of people want to be connected, and I actually sent out a survey in one of my groups and said, what is the reason why you guys are coming? And one of the things that I was really, and I'll toot my horn here. I love this. Okay? Let me just allow me to toot my horn. But it says, well, it's the coordinator. It's the person.
Awesome.
We know it's going to be fun. We know there's something. And this whole time with my people-pleasing issues, you know what I mean? I want to make everything great for everybody, and that's fine. They can take advantage of that. And I give you free reign to take advantage of that, because my sister does. Put this in the gift basket. Put that in the gift basket. Oh my gosh!
I just want one of the gift baskets.
Right, exactly.
It's big by now, right?
Yeah. So to back up, I want you guys to know that when you're doing personal branding, and this is some of the notes that I've taken, is that it's internal process first, right? Once you go, a lot of young clinicians would go, okay, tell me what to be, tell me who to be. Mm-hmm. Right?
Or let me be, which is so authentic.
Exactly. Who should I be? Right? Don't do that. Do some internal process and discover this, and then let that come out naturally and organically.
Yep, let it shine.
Right? The next thing that I do want to say as well too is once you start understanding this, reflect it in your environment. Like we talked about earlier, if you have family values and you want to reflect it in your office and in your environment. It will seep out. The other thing that I just absolutely love, and I'm going to require you guys to write a book on this.
Oh, us. I thought you were talking to the audience.
Yeah, for the both of you, is value branding. That just blew my mind right now. Value branding, knowing who you are in the context of your values, so that you won't have to try hard to sift out those who don't align with your values. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love that. The next thing is connecting with your brand on a human level. Everything that you do as a brand must be connecting on a human emotional level, correct?
Yes, and you guys do that well already. So.
Awesome. Any last words, you guys?
Well, I know I saw Brittany here on the questions we can see. Brittany asked, do you have any other tips to convey the message of my brand to my clients other than website business cards and having it in the back of my mind during networking interactions? And that's exactly it, is that everything that you do is on brand. So like, for example, at the Private Practice Startup, we talk a lot about being inspired. Our marketing
from startup to mastery.
Inspiring from start to mastery. How we sign off is stay inspired. Even when we write letters, I'll say stay inspiring. If it's someone who's inspiring, or stay inspired. Our marketing extraordinaire, her emails inspire at the Private Practice Startup. Mm-hmm. So they're just these little tweaks and fun things that actually makes things fun and interesting.
We have our Inspired Toolkit. We actually send out all these fun things in it. Yeah.
So maybe you send a welcome letter to your clients. Like, how can you make that on brand? Maybe you have snacks that are on brand. There's just so much that you can do, and when you start looking for it, you'll find it. But it's all about getting clear on your brand. I know when the brand I actually created was cool. It was called Brainbox, Brain, B-O-X-E, and it was E because E stands for it was refreshingly unexpected was the idea, is because I'm such a creative thinker. And so what I started doing was like, oh my God, I don't know if you guys remember the show Brain Games. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show brain games in the waiting room. That's cool. And it was like totally on brand. So I'm disappointed. It's funny, I just looked in my Amazon like wish list, and all these things I was going to put in the office were there. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Moving on to the news. So there's so many ways to be on brand.
Awesome. Well, we're going to sign off now. This has been such a fun time, and please register. Like I said, I'm going to email everyone a copy of this video for you to study, to look at. Again, the registration, the early bird registration, ends January 1st, 2019. Can you believe that? 2019?
No, I can't. It's crazy. Crazy. This has been fun to have our holiday hangout with you today. We've been doing one each week. So if you guys want to join us on our next holiday hangout, join us on Wednesday. Well, join us in the Private Practice Startup Facebook group. Maybe we can put the link in the chat or get that to you guys somehow. Well, if you just go to Facebook and type in the Private Practice Startup, you'll find us. And we're there every Wednesday, hanging out with you guys, answering all your questions and really trying to meet your needs. So we hope to see you then, and you'll see 2 new fun hats. I didn't have my hat on today, though, because we had the headphones and we had the tech crisis, and yeah.
I just have to say, like, may the tech be with you.
Yeah.
Oh, please no.
Oh my gosh, that's why it's nerve-wracking to do things like this. Anyway, everybody, we're going to sign off.
And thank you guys for all being here. It was a pleasure to serve you and an honor. And we hope to see. No, we want to see you in California.
Exactly.
Go, even though we said we shouldn't do anything.
Come. Ernesto, smile. We're gonna take a quick screenshot. Ready?
Oh, here we go.
Got it. Good stuff.
That was cool. That's cool.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for spending your time with us.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo. Right? Thank you.